So before we start today, what I really want to do is less talking as possible, because at the moment these daily chats, it's sort of like the Siam show, and I really want to get other people chatting. So the topic for today, obviously it's wealth generation as a whole, but we're going to be talking about big mistakes or massive learning points, because I sort of stumble through life just making mistakes, and it's literally how I learn. So yeah, we'll crack on in a minute. Rob, hey, Stuart, howdy. And over here on Clubhouse we have Adrian, Giles, Kent, James, Tommy and Adam. Again, on Clubhouse, if you fancy having saying something, just pop your hand up and I will accept you. Oh, hey Jane, long time no see. Right, that's 1600. Let's crack on. So yeah, as I mentioned, we're just talking about mistakes today. I learn massively through mistakes, and I think the premise of it. Hey, Aaron and Daniel. Yeah, the premise of this is that I treat life like a computer game. I've said this a few times, and I have zero fear of screwing up. Zero, literally. I genuinely don't give a shit in anything in terms of failing. So if there's something I want, I'll say to myself, okay, how do I get it? Okay, I need to do. I probably need to do a number of these things, and then once I do a bit more thinking, I'll narrow it down to a couple of decisions, and then I'll go, okay, well, it's going to be one of these, and then I won't. So what a lot of people do is they then fanny around, wasting time and energy deliberating over, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? And for me, I prefer just rapid iteration. So I will spend very little time, thinking of something, going, oh, should I do that? I'll literally just pick one. I'll listen to my squirrel sense and go, right, what was it? Actually, I listen to my what would be the most comfortable action or course of action, and then I'll pick the other one. Because normally your body and your brain will always want to do the less risky, the comfy one. The lizard brain in the back of your head will be saying, do this one, it's safer. And then I'll engage my neocortex and go, actually, I'm going to fade that. I'm going to do the exact opposite. So that is my default stance. I'll always choose the toughest, hardest decision. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And then I go, okay, well, I've screwed up. What's the learning points? Hit restart. Let's do the level again. And even better, can you do two actions in parallel? Like, parallel activity is one of the best things I've ever learned. Like if you can. So and when you do parallel activity, it's just way better. So for example, here is a very cheesy analogy. Hands up here who knows the game Age of Empires. I know that we have Aaron and Adam here and we play a lot together. So you guys will probably know where I'm going with this. But does anyone here on Clubhouse and Facebook know of the game Age of Empires? I know there's a bit of a lag. No? Okay, anyway, I'll carry on. So with Age of Empires, you basically start life with a tiny little town centre, 3 villagers, and then the town centre, procreates and then pops out more villagers over time if you have enough food. And what a lot of newbie players do is that they will have one town centre throughout the whole game, and they'll just rely on that one town centre, and probably every 30 seconds it will, if you click new villager, it will pop out and give birth to another villager. Okay, so if you have one town centre that's popping out a villager every 30 seconds or even slower than that because you forget to click make a villager, you're limiting the size of your economy in the game, because there's literally a certain amount. Like, even if you kept that town centre popping out villagers every constantly throughout the whole duration of that game, you can only have a certain amount of villagers. But what I like doing is I like popping out. I like building 5, maybe 10 town centres, and so normally most of the time it's probably about 5 or 6. Because then what happens is I have 5 or 6 town centres all popping out villagers constantly. So in the same unit of time, I can literally pop out 6 6 times more villagers than someone that had one town centre. Now, and that's why, and that really helps with Age of Empires. Now, I guess the real life equivalence of this is that most people do everything sequentially. Like, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. But I prefer, you need to parallelly do things in parallel. So, and it's the same with money, especially. Most people have one money stream, one income stream, one source, whether it be a job or a single business, which is fine. Which is, in fact, it's great. It's everything is relative in your wealth generation journey. But then eventually once you got one firmed up, let's say you got a business and it's doing really well, then you need other streams of income. Again, treat each stream of income like a town centre. And you just got to be popping out those villagers from those town centres. So John Rowland, hey mate, you've popped your hand up here. Can you chat? I'm really not liking. Okay, come on. I've said. I don't know whether it was this crappy iPhone. I've clicked yes. You can talk, but
Mate, sorry
hey mate, yeah.
I got my hand up about Age of Empires. That was all.
Cool. Do you play?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I downloaded it on your recommendation. I used to play it about 10 years ago.
Oh, amazing.
Getting back into it.
Join our WhatsApp group. There's like 15 of us in that group now. In fact, there was about 5 of us playing last night until about 1 in the morning.
Excellent.
Yeah, you should join us. So as I said from the beginning, let's talk about mistakes. So does anyone here fancy sharing a mistake, a massive mistake, or a mistake they made that they had a really good learning point from? Pop your hand up if anyone wants to share, and try and keep your story to like less than 5 minutes, because this whole session's only going to be half an hour. So we have one hand here. We have Jane. Hey Jane, how's it going?
Everybody, yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Long time.
Really good, yes. So my story then, my epic mistake was I set up an IT company making from scratch, from parts from China, making home PCs in the late 90s. Really could have ridden a huge wave, but I didn't focus on working on the business. I just relished in the huge profits that we made, and spent the money like water.
Yeah.
And basically crashed and burned. However, saying that was my degree in business, and I've gone on to build successful businesses from there. But that was a massive learning curve for me, that I just stayed in the moment with the business. I didn't focus on anything else, and PC World opened, and within weeks we went bust.
Wow. Okay. Cool. That's cool. And so, what were you spending on? You said you started just spending all your cash. What did you put it in?
Yeah, so I did get on the property market. So I went from having a mortgage on a house that was worth 100 grand, and the next step up was a house at 300 grand. So I made quite a nice step, and then for the next 15, 20 years, lived in very nice houses. Yeah, so I was fortunate enough that did give me a good start. But apart from that, we just blew it, because we were on it uneducated as well.
Motherfucker!
Whoa, sorry, I'm gonna remove.
Sorry.
Sorry, there's someone. Yeah. Wow.
He's gone.
Okay.
So I did. Although I got on the property ladder, it did enable us to do that. But we could have. I could have done things very differently. I could have sold the client list. I could have, investigated what was going on outside, and sold the business. But I didn't do anything. I didn't work on the business. I just worked in it, and we just gave ourselves fat salaries and had nice cars, and I paid the staff too much. And
okay, so I guess the learning. I'm just going to remove anyone who's like burping and putting stuff. So the learning point was that I guess you didn't spend enough doing R&D or research into your field, and also working in the business. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, just worked in it and just relished the money coming in, and just focused on the sales. And we had a front, so it was literally people walking in off the street, and so it was just dealing with those people day to day. So I was operational and not strategic, if you like.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really good point. That is a good. I'm going to write these down so for later. Okay, nice. Thanks, Jane. Anyone else want to share their big learning points and errors and stuff?
I've got one.
Yeah.
I would share.
Yeah.
Between 2015 and 2017, I went through 6 virtual assistants.
Hi.
And I was like, what's wrong with them? Why do people not understand what I'm doing? It's not difficult. And by the end of the 6th one, I realised it was me.
So true.
Not me, and it was because I hadn't written an ops manual. And when I wrote an ops manual, as soon as I hired the next person, they weren't any better or any worse than any of the other people. They were perfect. They did the job absolutely perfectly, and so it was completely my fault. But it took me 6 virtual assistants to get to that point. And I apologised to every single one of them. And afterwards I said, I'm sorry, I didn't give you the sufficient training that you needed to understand what to do. So that was it was an expensive learning point, both in money but more so in time.
Yeah, it's so true. Everyone does that. Like, I myself have had the same thing. Like, the first couple of years in business, I became very just frustrated. Like, everyone I hired was an idiot, or everyone I hired just made stupid errors. I'm like, do people not have brains? You know, that sort of. And loads of other business owners feel the same way when hiring, especially in the early days. But it's all your fault. And it was like back in the day, it was all my fault. I didn't have any proper systems. And it doesn't just start with the ops manual. What I found is that it starts from the very second. So you need a crystal clear job spec, which has all of the warts and wins, you know, everything good, everything bad. Then you need the correct advert. And then you need the filtering process in the advert. So you're interviewing the right people. And then you need the correct questions in the interviewing. And you need not just one interview, which I used to do. I mean, there was once I hired someone in like 10 minutes. On the phone, and that was like silly. So you need multiple sort of interview stages, and then you need proper training. And the training isn't like a 1 week thing. Like before, like when I had PAs, I was like, oh yeah, do a week training, expecting they know everything, and then guess what? Things fail. And then and the training is like a multi-month thing where you shadow, monitor, reassess, all that sort of stuff. And you need an SOP book. We call it the Bible. So in our business, in each business we have the Bible, and every single task has a sheet. So it could be like updating, doing like a database audit or something like that. And at the top of and it will be single A4 page, as in the SOP, and it'll be like mission to ensure that all clients are up to date. Blah 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 blah. I was actually looking at it today. I forgot. It's mission, outcome. What is the actual task? Then the method. Literally, do this. Accountability. It's my responsibility, and then my managers or whatever like that. And then we have a traffic light thing. So green, amber, red. So a red one. So if it's a red task, it means if you screw up, bad shit's happening. Okay. And so all the red tasks get like super double training, etc. And what happens right at the bottom of that whole page, and we have a couple of signature lines. So the trainer will then sign the trainer will sign their name and the date of when the training was done, and the date where they start the monitoring phase. And the monitoring phase will be about a month or two. And so at that point, the person has been taught it, they know how to do it, but then the trainer or the upline manager then monitors that person and that specific task. I mean, they'll be monitoring a whole bunch of other tasks. And then at the end of like a month or two, or whenever the trainer or the middle line manager and the trainee is both happy that, you know, this trainee is now fully autonomous on that task, they'll then go back to that SOP and then sign the bottom line saying, we are both, 100% confident, we've been running this, blah, 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 blah. Boom. So now, the moment that bottom line is signed, that trainee or that member of staff is now fully accountable and responsible for that task. Now, obviously, I'm the director, so I am fully responsible, if someone screws up. If someone screws up in your business, you have to see it as an error on your behalf. It's not the person that screwed up, it's that your whole environment hasn't catered for that potential hiccup to happen, or bad training, or bad oversight, or bad whatever. So I think for me, for staff training, that was my biggest learning point. It's like every error in your business is your fault. As Elon Musk says, when you're driving a car, he says every human input is error. And it's such a fascinating way to look at it. he said, like, it took me a couple of seconds to sort of mull that sentence over. He said, every human input when driving is an error. So when he says, so what he means is, like, if you're approaching a roundabout and you're having to indicate, so that's a human input, having to press that indicator stalk to turn right, that is an error on the car's behalf, because it doesn't know where you want to go and what turning you want to get. And he said a perfect drive is when, or when the human's not driving, but the car does everything. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my contribution to that. So, thanks, Adam. That's so pivotal. Does anyone else have any errors and learning points? Dennis, you've got the mic here as well. Did you have something to say?
Hi, guys and girls.
Hey. Do you have a learning point or a nugget that you want to share, Dennis?
Sorry, what?
We're just sharing, like, learning points and issues that we've had in business or in life in general. If you wanted to share something, but whilst you're thinking, Kevin in the Facebook Live said, "Hey Simon, question on a different." Oh, sorry. So that's a crypto topic. We talked about crypto yesterday, Kevin. So check on my YouTube, and the recording of all the crypto stuff is on there, because I covered that question there. Anita Smith has said, most entrepreneurs don't think about systems. I'm a VA and spend time setting up systems for young businesses. Yep, so true. And then before that, Aaron has said, never let anyone else hold the keys to your kingdom. Yep. Someone I thought a friend had not informed me that the unit I was renting from had been sold. Jeez. There was a superseding clause in the rental agreement that stated if the business was inside, then sold, I would only be given the same time to leave the unit. My business requires 3 months notice minimum to secure planning permission for a change of use. Jeez, yeah, wow. So Aaron, what would you have done differently there? Would you have done a bit more due diligence when sourcing your property? Or what would you have done? And I know, Aaron, you're on the Facebook Live, so whilst you reply, does anyone here in the clubhouse have any learning points or nuggets or errors that they've made in business? Just pop your hand up if you want to chat. Failing that, I can talk till the cows come home. So, no, okay. I'm going to chat then. So the next one, the next sort of error which I think I can share. Again, if you have a question, just pop your hand up, or something you want to share, just pop your hand up and you will be given the mic. But until then, low margin businesses. God damn. Low margin businesses were the bane of my life for a long time back in the day. So I guess, like most people getting into business, so this was like 10 years ago, the first thing that you tend to think about is like, what can I sell? What widget, what thing can I sell? And like, I think most people have the idea of, I'll buy something really cheap, from China or Alibaba, and then I'll sell it for a markup in the UK or, somewhere in the West. So source in the East, sell in the West. And so I guess my first few business projects was, similar sort of stuff like that. But the first one that actually got traction was bullion. So I was always a massive gold and silver fan, and I wanted to buy as much gold and silver for myself, as in the physical stuff. And I thought, how can I get these wholesale rates, And then I went to like the biggest wholesaler in Europe, Coin Invest actually, and they said, oh yeah, to get these wholesale rates, you only need to sell £100,000 a month sterling, and then you can then buy gold and silver from us at wholesale, which was a massive discount, by the way, massive. And I was like, what? Are you sure? If I can put in at least £100,000 a month of orders, I can get at this price. And I thought, oh, okay, that's fine. So I did it. And the business took off. Like within the first couple of months, I was doing about 200 grand a month in revenue. However, the net margin of the whole business was 1.4%. 1.4%, which was just ridiculous. I think in year one, the first year of revenue was £1.4 million, which was another weird 1.4. So 1.4 million, 1, 2, 3 times 0.014. That's it. Yeah. So I had a 1.4 revenue year, and it made £19,600, which was well below minimum wage because I was doing 18 hours a day. And the thing is, when you have a hiccup in a business with such a low margin like that, there's nothing you can do to recover. So this sort of you can't. There's just no fat in the business, no buffer that you can help build new things because you're not making that much profit. So to be a bullion dealer with a 1.4% net profit margin, I would need to be doing 10-20 million revenue just before it's turning into a proper business. But then you have way more staff, and then all of a sudden your OPEX, your operational expenditure, starts to creep up as you scale the business. And it's a lot, and sometimes it's hard to scale up that OPEX and get the profit in without raising margins. But in such a cutthroat business where I'm dealing in an actual commodity like gold and silver, you can't put up your margins that much, because then someone will just go and buy gold and silver, if it's a few pence per ounce cheaper from somewhere else. There's very little loyalty to begin with, that is. And so this then nicely segues into one of the biggest errors I made in the very early years of business. So this was probably 10 years ago. In that same business, I was a bullion dealer. What happened is I didn't get on top of my numbers properly. And so I don't know, I think it was just pure naivety and just being new in business. I got confused between gross margin and net margin. And you can probably see where this is going here. So I was looking at my gross margin, thinking I had something like a 10-20% profit margin, and there was me thinking, oh, I'm Billy Big Balls here, doing a couple $100,000 a month in revenue, and I thought my net profit margin was like 10% or 20%. I can't remember; it was so long ago. When in fact it was actually 1.4. And so I then started spending money, which technically the business didn't have. And then one day my accountant said, "Oh, Siam, your VAT bill's here, and you've got to pay 40 grand in the next 5 days." And I was like, "For what? Are you joking?" And he was like, "No, yeah, your VAT bill, 5 days time. Don't forget, you got to pay 40k." I looked in the bank account, and I think off the top of my head there was only 20 grand in the account, and I was like, "Oh shit, I need to find 20 grand in 5 days." And so I did what I guess loads of other people have probably done in that situation and gone, okay, we need to trade our way out of this. So I did some sort of promotional offer, blah, 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 and I managed to generate an extra 20-25 grand in the next 5 days. But here's the secondary problem. So remember, in business, one problem isn't just a siloed thing. It's like a freaking, it's like bacteria. It will breed into secondary problems and tertiary problems, because the byproduct error of my action, or mind you, my action to fix the problem, caused the other problems. So there I was, did a quick promotion. The margins on that quick promotion were even worse than 1.4%. And I had to use the sales of that to then pay the VAT, which then instantly meant I was a quarter behind in my VAT. And it took me 18 months to get out of that hole. 18 months of hard graft, because I was always behind on my VAT, because I'd used current sales to pay off the VAT of the previous quarter. I was always 3 months behind, and that sort of domino effect grew and grew and grew. And because there's no margin to recover that, it took 18 months, and I ended up having. In fact, it then led to a bit of a pivot, because I then realised, oh shit, I need to do something with the business here. I can't just the revenue wasn't high enough to become like a big boy, and so I then pivoted into the UK's first direct debit gold and silver subscription plan, like a savings plan. You can set up a 300 quid a month direct debit, and then 300 quid a month of gold or silver will be delivered to your door every day, also every month. And with that, and I also added some educational sort of stuff, so I had a little bit more margin there in that business. And so in the end, I actually splintered both businesses off. So I had one which is a primary sort of just pure bullion dealing business, and then I had this sort of saving plans business. And in order just to make everything even, I had to sell the saving. It was called, I think, silversavings.com or something like that. I then sold that business for 50 grand, and then that made me blank. That just made me, yeah. So my first business sale was that business, and that was me trying to just cover my losses. So that's one big error. Anyone want to share their errors and learning points? Yeah, go for it. I'm so sorry, I can't hear a word that you're saying. Okay. So again, if someone wants to share their things, pop your hand up. But Aaron in the Facebook has said, oh, so Carmel said hire slow, fire fast. Word. Aaron said, so his learning points from his one is, as in with that his property issue, I'll make sure the clauses inside the rental agreement cover that particular issue. Yep. Or the better option is to simply rent a complete unit of my own instead of sharing another unit with a larger business. Yeah, cool. I mean, sometimes you may need to jump on board with a bigger business. Like, for example, if you had like a cosmetic or massage company, like the best business you could jump in bed with is like if you could rent out space in like a David Lloyd or a Virgin Active gym or something like that. So sometimes it can't be avoided. But yeah, your corrective-ish actions are good ones there. So anyone else fancy sharing a hiccup which led to some good learning points? Okay, we have a hand and this. Oh no, that hand disappeared. Everyone's being shy today. Okay, here we go. One more hand. We have Beck. Nope. Everyone's teasing me now. They're putting their hands up, then not putting their hands up. So Jane, actually, you've been in business for a fair while. You must have other learning nuggets that or hiccups you've made, which have then stemmed into nice learning points. No, I guess no one.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm here. Sorry, I'm here. I didn't click the mute button on.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've been on Clubhouse actually, so
Oh, cool.
I'm figuring it out as I go along. Yeah. So I think the next big learning curve for us was, and it's around your profit that you were talking about just now. So we set up a coaching and training company in 2010, which we still run successfully.
Nice.
However, we nearly lost it in 2017 so our profit margins were around 76%.
Nice. Is that GP or NP?
Yeah. Sorry?
Is that gross margin or net margin?
Net.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's good.
On a turnover of probably about 800,000 at that point, which was very good. It was really good. We worked hard, but we'd got it nailed. However, the mistake we then made, so at that point there were two of us owning the business. There's still the two of us that own it, but we used associates so that they were cost of sale. So that was really good. So everything was cost of sale. We only paid them if the work came in.
Yep.
Everybody worked from home and then went out into organisations to deliver the coaching and training. And again, if it was training, we used local hotels, and that was all cost of sale. So that's where we were able to get such great margins with our profit. Then what happened, we found that when we wanted to get new associates and good associates, they weren't prepared to leave good, well-paid jobs and then suddenly become self-employed and wait for us to give them, 1 day's work, 2 days' work, etc.
Yep.
So we then employed our first full-time coach. And I remember it clearly. I remember the guy who was working for the Prince's Trust. He was amazing, but we needed to match his 24 grand a year salary, so we did. And then we took on our next one because we realised how good they were.
Yep.
And we did that. Then we got some premises. We thought, we'll have our own training room now, and not to use hotels, and everyone will come to us, and we'll, it'll be fantastic. And to cut a long story short, you know where this is going.
Yeah.
Within 3 years, our turnover was pretty much the same, because turnover is irrelevant, but our profit had gone from 76% to 17%.
Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah, big ouch.
Yeah.
And I recovered it because I work well under pressure, and I love a crisis. And we sat down and with the accountant, and he said, look, you've got weeks to turn this around. We had a huge VAT bill as well, and all those things, and I did manage to get out of it, but it took us probably another 3 years.
Yeah.
We got rid of the building, but we were tied in with a lease. That cost us money. We made people redundant. That cost us money.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are back now in fact, I've got a meeting with the accountant next week to look at our year end. And I think we're about 70% profit again, with just 2 of us being employed and back to the associate model.
Cool. Yeah, and you're spot on. So, if those that are not familiar with, I guess, the training space, when Jane says the associate model, it's like a subby. So, some building companies may then hire other builders for a job. They're subcontracting. That's basically, in a nutshell, what an associate is, but for a training company.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that does come with its, regulations. You have to go careful with that. Our associates are not allowed to. Well, we're not allowed for our associates. That's the key thing there. That our associates have to have all the work. Otherwise, effectively, you're dodging PAYE and everything else. And that's my responsibility then. So
exactly.
I need to ensure that my associates are doing other work, because otherwise you're just avoiding the employment.
Yeah. And I guess I guess with associate models, because you and I have similar businesses, because I've got Lighthouse down in Ipswich, which is like a Ofsted regulated corporate management training business.
Yeah.
So sometimes so quality control is also important. So if you're a business that has subcontractors, subbies, associates, stuff like that, quality is really important, because there's you getting in a big contract or whatever, and you're dishing out some of the actual work to subbies. If that person does a really shitty job, it's on your face, because you're the one that has done that. So that's a really big one. And also, we've had issues where subbies or associates have stolen business from us.
Yes, we've had that. We've had that recently as well. That you're spot on. Those are the challenges you face. And as a business owner of this company that John and I set up in 2010, I'm at the point now where I'm of a certain age where I want to slow down and enjoy life, and I'm reducing my days. But giving that work away is nerve wracking. It's really nerve wracking, and we train our associates. They have to come through our our training program, and they're supervised, and we pick them out. We don't just accept anybody that comes through the door. But it still makes me now very nervous. I mean, we've just landed a contract, a very nice one, with a large law firm. It's taken me 18 months to even get them on Zoom, and we secured the contract last week.
Nice.
And straight away, and this is another learning curve because I didn't make this clear, straight away the CEO of the law firm has said to me, "Right, Jane, when can you start?" And it's not going to be me going in.
Yeah.
And I'm very nervous now, because it's a skill set thing as well. Coaching is coaching, mentoring is mentoring, but when you're mentoring, you've got to have the skill set for that particular sort of mentoring. And finding the people is just it's very challenging. I'm at the point now where I'm thinking, right, do I just carry on topping up the pension pot and just keep doing the work myself? That's my challenge at the minute.
I guess the learning point with all these sort of subcontractor, like associate type things, is that you need to ensure that the contract you have with your subbies is airtight. Because obviously, as I said, with the client stealing, what they do is they do the work for the for a year or whatever. They then develop the relationship with your client, and then they go, I'm now setting up on my own. Instead of using Siam's business, how about I undercut his whatever he's paying you, and so you need airtight contracts in place like that. And
you do, 'cause it's very common, and in my experience, it's been the organisation that's approached the coach or the trainer, not the other way around. And if they've been, it's been the organisation that's, let's just cut out Spacious and we'll go with you. And unfortunately for us, they've then contacted us and said, they've asked us to do this, and we've only actually had, in 12 years, we've only had one person do the dirty on us. The others have come, but you're right. You've got to have that airtight, because it'll often be down to budgets, and it'll often be the organisation that's approaching the subby.
Exactly,
not the other way around.
I guess it's similar with Subway. Let's take Subway. That's a franchising business, so it's slightly different. But if the Subway franchisee went, actually, screw the franchising fees that I'm paying every month. I can make the same sandwiches, etc. Instead of Subway, I'll just put my brand on it and have the same clients. So this is why I think branding is also very important. So in fact, our cleaner, we've gone through a few different cleaning companies, and we got a good one now. And it's interesting that the company we use now, the cleaners that they send, they have to wear the company branded apron, etc. So it always says, so you know straight away what company. It sort of reminds you what company you're dealing with, and they have company branded stuff. The Hoover, it's a Henry the Hoover, but they got a big old sticker on it as well, and stuff like that. It's just So okay, that's interesting. Cool, we got one other hand up here. We got a few questions here, then we're going to end it. So, Carmel, I'm going to read yours out. Aaron, I'll read yours out. And then before that, we're going to we have Maxim here who's popped his hand up. So, Maxim, hit us. What do you have? What learning points or hiccups have you got? Nope. I don't know if it's Clubhouse or Apple's just not working. I click people's hands up and then they disappear. Okay, whilst that's working out. So Carmel said, we have several price lists for schools. So Carmel has a photography business, by the way. And they accidentally got moved around. So all parents got a 15% drop on the prices. No increase in the number of orders. 15% drop in revenue. Cost me thousands. Luckily, we spotted it in a few weeks. Lowering prices does not mean increase in revenue. Yeah, I completely agree. Sometimes lowering prices actually destroys your bottom line. It really does. Yeah, so that's a good one. And Aaron has said, my original accountant sold his business and my account was moved over to another local well-established accountant. In the following tax year, they failed to submit my taxes on time, resulting in fines from HMRC totaling over 1,800 quid. This has happened to me as well. I was never big enough at the time to try and recover that money. Yeah, that sucks, especially when you're a brand new business. It absolutely sucks. I've had, again, a bit similar to cleaning companies, I've had so many accounting firms, it's ridiculous. And you know what? The bigger the company, like at one point, I had so many accounting issues, like from accountants screwing up. I went, screw this, I'm just going to pay the best money possible, and I got the biggest accounting firm in Norwich. Was that any better? No, because although I sort of went on board with the partner of the business, obviously they then give your account to all of their junior accountants, and I had like 5 points of contact, and all asking me the same bloody questions every week, and so yeah, it's tough. So yeah, so we've been talking about half an hour. Does anyone on Clubhouse have any hiccups that they've made and then resulting learning points from it?
I have one with staff.
Yeah, go for it.
Conscious of time. About 12 years ago, I was a sales manager for a large fire security company, and I was tasked with building a sales team.
Yep.
So, black ads out there, great, fantastic, interview people, fine, not a problem at all. And I trained them, and they were doing well. We were making a lot of profit. But when I started to go beyond my initial 5, maybe 8 salespeople that were doing really well,
yeah,
I started to find that I was not getting as good salespeople. What was happening is I was trusting on that original data set that were really good, and I was being loose with my recruitment process, when actually what I should have been doing was tightening it up and learning from what the good people were doing in that particular character set. And so the mistake that I made there was hiring people that weren't very good at it. And some people just are untrainable. And I didn't realise that with respect to sales. They were just terrible at it. And that actually wiped out maybe 30% of the net profit that the other guys and girls were making. So that was an expensive lesson. And as you know, it's not easy to get rid of people. If pay as you earn.
Definitely. In fact, that reminds me of another hiccup and issue I've done with sales teams, etc. So obviously we can all get fixated in the scale, grow, especially with the whole self-help, self-development world out there. You got to 10x everything, and all that bollocks. But the thing is, you can grow far too fast for your own liking. And one thing that I did, I guess, relatively recently is I built up a sales team, and I had too many sales team for the amount of leads in the business, which I think I was over optimistic with how many leads I could generate into the business. And so before you know it, you have too little leads, too many salespeople, and then they're not happy, because all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of salespeople that get, you know, probably 25% less leads than they're expecting, which means they can't hit their commission target properly, which means everyone gets, you know, annoyed, because all they're earning in their months is their basic salary. And so so I guess the learning point for me is that I would much rather have too little salespeople that are basically inundated with leads, because that way they're going to be, you know, pig in a truffle? No, pig in a pigsty? I don't know. Filling their faces.
That was exactly the learning point that I realised. That was actually the original, I think it was 8 people, could quite comfortably do it. And it was the salaries just destroyed the margin with the people who were not bringing in whatever it was 5 times what I was paying them as the salary. And that's what it was. The dilution encouraged complacency.
Nice. Also, so we got Yejin. Is that how you say your name?
Hello.
Hi. How's it going?
My name is Yejin Jong.
Okay. Hi. And
My name is Yejin Jong.
hi there. And do you have a hiccup or a learning point that you would like to share?
I'm 23 years old.
Okay. Cool. Do you have any hiccups that you've made in the past and learning points as a result of it?
I don't know.
Okay. No worries. Well, thanks for being here anyway. As I mentioned before, I'm really trying to keep these chats to half an hour, because otherwise, I'm going to bore everyone every day. So thank you for everyone that's contributed today. We've got, you know, quite a few people here today, which is good. I'm here 4 o'clock every weekday, so I'll be here tomorrow. And those on Facebook Live, thanks again for joining. And tomorrow we're going to keep the same thread, okay? Tomorrow we'll be here at 4 o'clock again, and we'll be talking about learning points from hiccups, because I've got a massive list. I could talk for weeks on that. And I've always got like a backup standby list of, you know, things that I can talk about, and I haven't even touched any of them today. So I'll see you again tomorrow at 1600 UK time, and I've got to love you and leave you. So thanks everyone that's joining us today. Toodaloo. Cheerio. Bye-bye.